What is up to my people? I hope you guys are doing okay. Welcome and welcome back to the island. Today we are going to be reacting to something special. British tribute to 9/11. So before we even start, I want to say rest in peace to everyone who lost their life in the 9/11 attack. Um and even to the people who probably lost a loved one in that way, condolences. I am so sorry that even had to happen. Like, I'm getting emotional and all. I didn't even know I was gonna get emotional before I even started reacting. um I am from Trinidad and Tobago. It's in the Caribbean, but I believe I was a little girl when 9/11 happened. I was probably in preschool or primary school at that time. So I don't really remember, everything surrounding it besides what my mother may have told me, that she saw it on the TV, she heard it all over the radio, she came and picked me up from school early and brought me home. Like, it was crazy the way she described it. So I was around when it happened, but I don't have like anything to pull. So today we are going to be reacting to a British tribute to the 9/11. I'm really interested to see this. And I mean, it's such a sad, catastrophic event that took place, and it really didn't have to happen. Let's dive into this one. Let's go.
Richard Bilton reports.
It was a unique gesture. In a show of support, the Queen broke with tradition. Changing of the guard was altered for the first time. Thousands gathered, quietly joining in as the band played the American national anthem. And after the cheers, a silence, a pause to think of those touched by this tragedy. As what has happened sinks in, here in Britain, emotion and despair are increasingly on display. Thousands of people in this country have been caught up in this tragedy. In terms of victims, this is the worst terrorist atrocity to hit Britain. And throughout today, here in the grounds of the American Embassy, people have been arriving to pay their respects.
I want to give support if I can. I want just to be here so that they know the British people are thinking of them.
I'm grieving. I want to be with people that are grieving. I need to get home so I can go to funeral.
Reported to us as being missing.
This new bureau has been set up at Scotland Yard to help coordinate the search for the missing. 100 British people are known to have died. Hundreds more are unaccounted for. A cabinet minister has been appointed by the Prime Minister to help relatives here.
The suffering of families facing the uncertainty about what's happened to their loved ones is absolutely dreadful. And that's why we have to do everything possible to ease some of the burden of responsibility and worrying about the whole range of practical issues.
No section of the community has been hit harder than the city. Another silence today in London's financial district. So many colleagues still lost.
Really felt quite unreal, and I think the full impact of this will not really get through to people for maybe weeks or months in some cases.
And many individuals are trapped in a terrible waiting game. Trudy Freeman has still not heard from her former husband, the father of her children, who worked on the 105th floor of the first building to be hit.
Yeah, I just feel that I'm not doing too much, although, I'm searching on the internet. I can't physically go around and look at the hospitals and try and find him, especially if he has no ID on him or he's unconscious somewhere. So I just really want to get out there and just physically search for him.
The attack was on another country thousands of miles away. but it is having a terrible effect on so many people, so many lives here in Britain. Richard Bilton, BBC News.
Wow. 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 Guys, I just don't like to see people crying, people hurt. Like, that lady was still looking for her husband. She wanted to physically go out there and look for him. And it's just so, life is so fragile and fickle. Like, one day you're there and the next minute you're not. And to lose somebody that you love like so suddenly, unexpectedly, by something that could have been avoided.
The nearly 3,000 people who lost their lives on September 11, 67 were British victims. A memorial service was held at London's Olympic Park, while the Queen paid tribute in a message sent to US President Joe Biden.
20 years on from our greatest ally's greatest tragedy, this was a very British way to mark the anniversary of 9/11. The sound of the Star-Spangled Banner at Windsor Castle, part of a special changing of the guard ceremony. It accompanied a message from the Queen to Joe Biden, celebrating the strength of those who responded to the call of duty and those who stayed to rebuild. My visit to the site of the World Trade Center in 2010 is held fast in my memory. It reminds me that as we honor those from many nations, faiths, and backgrounds who lost their lives, we also pay tribute to the resilience and determination of the communities who joined together to rebuild. At the event was the acting US ambassador, moved by a gesture of friendship, solidarity, and unity.
It's almost hard to find words to reflect upon what that means to us and the importance of the US, UK, United States, United Kingdom, united together as friends and as allies. And for that, we are immensely grateful.
At the Olympic Park, a charred chunk of metal taken from Ground Zero was a backdrop for an afternoon of remembrance. There were 67 British victims that day, including John Egan's father Michael and Aunt Christy.
At that moment, I saw the planes hitting the towers crumbling, replay, and quickly realize that my life and the world was going to be changed forever.
They watched as the Prime Minister said, the spectre of terrorism has only served to strengthen transatlantic ties.
But while the terrorists impose their burden of grief and suffering, and while the threat persists today, we can now say, with the perspective of 20 years, that they failed to shake our belief in freedom and democracy.
Here and across the country, a mixture of young and old came together to reflect on a moment that has helped to shape the world we live in today. Sir Richard Dearlove was head of the MI6 at the time of the attack, and he hopes it continues to provide a lesson for years to come.
I hope that a lot of young people today will know enough about what happened to reflect on the significance of having commemorations and understand, why we have to make a determined effort to root out extremism.
Thinking about the present, today was a reminder September 11th, 2001 lives on in the hearts and minds of people on both sides of the Atlantic. Shingi Mararike, Sky News.
Wow, oh my goodness. Wow. I hate anything that deals with terrorism. Like, I hate it. Like, innocent lives, I understand you're fighting your fight elsewhere. But when it comes to innocent lives, that's where I don't understand it at all. I won't ever understand terrorist attack, especially on innocent lives. So many lives lost in that, so much trauma created, like, around something that could have not happened altogether. And like, that's it I'm getting chills, I'm getting emotional, because one minute you're here and the next you're not. 1 minute you're good and the next you're not. Like, your life can change at any minute. You can lose someone any minute. And wow, that that was incredible to see. However, the tribute, the respect that they give to everyone. Yo, thank you guys for being here.